HBAR fell off a cliff, down about 6% in the past 24 hours. That's usually terrible news, right? I certainly thought so. When I saw that red -6% staring at me, I almost spat out my coffee. Great, I groaned. Another altcoin biting the dust while the whole market's already weak. My first instinct was to brace for more pain, but then something strange caught my eye. HBAR's chart was flashing signals that practically begged me to take a closer look. It's like I stumbled onto a hidden message in the chaos. And believe it or not, that nasty price drop might be hiding one of the craziest rebound setups I've seen in a while. Why the heck would a crash make me even a little bit bullish? It sounds ridiculous. Honestly, I was 100% skeptical at first. I've been fooled by fake signals before, but what I found in HBAR's data left me equal parts confused and excited. In fact, I uncovered 3 unusual clues hinting that while everyone else saw a sinking ship, a few smart players might have been quietly loading their lifeboats. At first I wondered if I was imagining things, seeing patterns in the noise. So I double-checked, triple-checked, even tried to poke holes in it, yet the clues only became clearer. Today, I want to take you on that little investigative journey, from my initial doubt to each clue I uncovered to the aha moment that completely reframed how I see HBAR's drop. Stick with me because this story has a twist I didn't expect. And no, it's not some conspiracy theory or hopium. I've got actual data to back this up. So let's rewind to earlier this morning. I'm looking at HBAR's price chart and it's a sea of red. Everyone on Twitter is either silent or eulogizing Hedera like it's the end. My gut says ignore it. Just another altcoin rolling over. But something in the back of my mind whispers, check the volume, just in case. You know how in detective movies the protagonist notices a tiny clue everyone else missed? That's what happened. I noticed the volume bars on HBAR weren't your typical all-red massacre. They'd started to change color in a very peculiar way. It was subtle, but it felt like seeing a hint of blue sky during a thunderstorm, and that was clue number 1. I have a bit of a nerdy habit. I use a color-coded volume indicator inspired by the Wyckoff method, an old-school trading theory about market cycles. Normally, when sellers are fully in charge, my volume bars light up red. When buyers take over, they turn green. But in between, there are these intermediary colors, yellow and blue, that show a sort of tug of war. Think of it like a traffic light of market momentum. Red means bears, sellers, are driving. Green means bulls, buyers are. And in between, you get yellow and blue when control is shifting. It's not often I see those middle colors dominate, but on HBAR's chart, right after the big drop, I saw exactly that. A weird mix of yellow and blue bars showing up where once it was solid red. At first, I scratched my head. Yellow and blue. Did I accidentally mess with my chart settings? Is my monitor playing tricks? It almost looked like HBAR's volume bars were indecisive, like they couldn't figure out who should be in charge. In Wyckoff terms, red bars means sellers in control. Yellow means sellers still pressing, but starting to lose their grip. Blue means buyers beginning to gain ground, and green would mean buyers fully in control. HBAR went from a parade of heavy red to this odd yellow-blue blend, which is something you typically see when a downtrend is running out of steam. I'm talking about seller exhaustion, like the bears are getting tired after a long fight. It's as if the market's saying, "All right, bears, you've had your fun, but now the bulls are peeking in."
I was still skeptical. One funky volume pattern isn't enough to hang your hat on, but I remembered a bit of recent history. The last time HBAR's volume bars shifted from red into a similar red-yellow-blue cocktail was mid-October. And back then, what happened? HBAR rallied about 41% almost immediately after that pattern appeared. That previous surge was huge. If you blinked, you missed it. Now, I'm not saying history repeats exactly, but seeing those same colours now gave me serious déjà vu. It was like a ghost from October tapping on my shoulder, whispering, "Hey, we've seen this before." My inner skeptic responded, "Sure, but one coincidence doesn't prove anything. Markets are weird. Patterns sometimes mean nothing.
So I dug deeper. I decided to look at another indicator to either confirm my suspicions or shut them down. This led me to clue number 2, something that's a bit more mainstream but just as sneaky: the Money Flow Index, or MFI for short. The MFI is one of my favorite under-the-radar tools. If you're not familiar, think of it like a hybrid between volume and price, almost like an on-chain lie detector test for whether the money is flowing in or out. It considers both price movements and trading volumes to gauge buying and selling pressure. Unlike something like RSI, Relative Strength Index, which looks only at price, MFI answers the question: are people actually putting money where their mouth is? So here's what I saw. As HBAR's price was dropping over those days, making lower highs and lower lows, the MFI indicator was quietly ticking upwards. That is weird. Normally, if price tanks, you'd expect any momentum indicator that accounts for volume to tank too, since usually selling volume accompanies price drops. But no, HBAR's MFI was rising while price was falling. This is what traders call a bullish divergence. In plain English, it means the price is painting a gloomy picture, but the underlying buying pressure is painting a different, more optimistic one. It's like seeing footprints of buyers on a beach where everyone else only sees the receding tide. The last time I saw an MFI divergence like this on HBAR, it was followed by a solid price jump. In fact, between early October and late October, HBAR's price kept drifting down, but the MFI was climbing. Not long after, HBAR's price popped about 33% upward. Back then, that divergence was one of the early clues that the drop was a head fake. Remembering that, I got a little chill. Here it was again. HBAR's price in late November was sliding, everyone feeling pessimistic, yet the MFI line on the chart was sloping up like someone quietly accumulating coins on the sly. To visualize it, imagine the price is a diver swimming downward, but the MFI is the bubbles coming up, an indication that something is pushing upward underneath. It was as if the metric was whispering, "Psst, someone out there is buying these dips." Now at this point, I had 2 pieces of evidence. 1, a funky volume color pattern hinting seller exhaustion, and 2, a bullish divergence on the MFI indicating stealthy dip buying. As a long-time trader, I can tell you these signals don't show up often, especially not together. My skepticism was starting to crack, but I wasn't fully convinced yet. I mean, correlation is not causation. Just because these clues preceded rallies before doesn't guarantee they'll do it this time. For all I knew, maybe HBAR was just taking a breather before sliding further. I needed one more piece to really tip me over from skeptic to believer. Before I reveal the third and final clue, the one that really surprised me, let me just pause for a reality check. This is important because whenever we talk about potential reversals and rallies, it's easy to get carried away. So bear with me for 1 minute. This might shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all the money you invest. Always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. Your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses. This video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Alright, glad we got that out of the way. Absolutely nothing is guaranteed here. I'm just sharing my own observations and a bit of educated speculation. And whether HBAR moons or flops, one rule I live by is protect your crypto. Seriously. I've been in this game long enough to see exchanges go belly up and hacks happen out of nowhere, so I never keep significant funds on an exchange longer than necessary. I personally use a Ledger hardware wallet to store my crypto safely offline. If you're holding any coins for the long term, HBAR or otherwise, do yourself a favor. Get a hardware wallet. It doesn't have to be Ledger, but that's what I use because it's like having a bank vault in your pocket. And please, only buy it directly from the manufacturer's website to avoid tampered devices. Full disclosure, I have an affiliate link to Ledger on my website, but regardless of that, the key point stands. You need to secure your coins. Not your keys, not your coins, as the saying goes. Alright, public service announcement over. Let's get back to the exciting stuff. So far we've looked at technical clues on the chart. Now for the third clue, I went off chart and into the real world a bit. Fund flows. Specifically, I dug into what's happening with the new Canary HBAR Spot ETF. If you haven't heard of it, this is basically an exchange-traded fund that holds HBAR, launched by Canary Capital not long ago. Here's why it matters. ETFs can show you what the bigger or more traditional players are doing. And guess what? Even as HBAR's price was dropping in November, this ETF kept adding HBAR to its stash. In fact, it saw positive inflows in 4 of the last 5 weeks, totaling over $80 million added. Let that sink in. While retail folks on crypto Twitter were likely panic selling or at least licking their wounds, this ETF was quietly buying. To me, that screamed confidence, or at least long-term conviction, from people who have deep pockets. I dug a bit more and found that Canary's HBAR ETF now holds around 428.3 million HBAR tokens, roughly 0.86% of the total supply. That's nearly 1% of all HBAR out there. The ETF has been growing its holdings even during the price dip, not shrinking. If big institutional type players were getting cold feet, we'd likely see outflows, money leaving the fund. But we saw the opposite. They kept pouring money in, albeit at a slower pace than when the ETF first launched in late October. It's a steady drip of demand. This was the final puzzle piece for me. Clue 3 confirmed what clues 1 and 2 suggested, that there's accumulation happening behind the scenes. It's like when you notice 3 separate symptoms, say a stuffy nose, a cough, and a fever, and realize they all point to one thing, in that case, a cold. Here, the symptoms were colored volume bars, a rising MFI, and ETF inflows, all pointing to one conclusion. Someone, maybe a lot of someones, are quietly buying HBAR while the price looks weak. In trading lingo, that's called early accumulation. This realization honestly gave me goosebumps. It's not often you catch what could be the early stages of a big move while everyone else is focusing on the doom and gloom. I felt a bit like I'd peeked behind the curtain of the market, and the picture behind that curtain was a lot more optimistic than the scary red numbers out front. Let's recap for a second, because I know I just threw a lot at you. HBAR's price tanked 6% in a day, making everyone pessimistic. I was right there with everyone else thinking HBAR was just another casualty of a weak crypto market. But then, 1. I saw the volume pattern shift from all-out red to a mix of yellow and blue, a sign that the big sell-off was losing steam. 2. I spotted a bullish divergence on the Money Flow Index, suggesting that even as price fell, savvy buyers were quietly accumulating. And 3. I noticed that the Canary HBAR Spot ETF, which represents institutional interest, continued to see money flowing in, adding to its HBAR holdings week after week. Any one of these clues alone might be easy to dismiss, but all 3 at the same time? That caught my attention in a big way. I started this journey as a skeptic, but by the time I put these pieces together, I felt a cautious optimism bubbling up. Don't get me wrong, I'm not screaming HBAR to the moon on the rooftops. Hype is cheap, and I promise myself and you, no hype, just honest analysis. The data is the data, and it suggests a potential rebound setup. Could all these signals fail? Absolutely. Nothing is certain in crypto, or life, for that matter. Maybe the broader market stays ugly and drags HBAR down further despite these positive undercurrents. There's a very important support level around roughly 0.122 for HBAR. That's been the lower boundary of its price range lately. If HBAR drops below about 0.12, then all bets are off in the short term. That would invalidate the bullish accumulation pattern and could open the trap door to deeper losses. I'm fully aware of that risk. You should be too. Every good story has an alternate ending, and the bearish ending here is HBAR failing to hold support and slipping into a bigger slump. But here's the key insight and the reason I'm sharing this story. Sometimes the most interesting opportunities reveal themselves when things look bleakest. I mean, who gets excited about a coin that just dumped 6% in a day? Usually nobody. That's why these clues were almost hiding in plain sight. Most people avert their gaze from the carnage, but if you dare to look a bit closer, you can find hints that maybe the carnage is not as bad as it seems. It's a bit counterintuitive, almost contrarian. It's like the old saying, be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy. Early accumulation signals like we saw in HBAR make me think of that phrase. They're basically telling us, hey, someone out there is getting greedy in a good way, while everyone else is fearful. Now, none of this means HBAR is guaranteed to rocket upward. Let's be crystal clear on that. But it does mean HBAR has something intriguing going on that other similar coins might not. The fact that these signals are unique to HBAR among mid-cap altcoins right now, I looked around and not many are showing this exact combo of volume, momentum, flow signals, makes the story even more compelling. If the overall crypto market steadies or turns up even a little, HBAR could be one of the first to move, precisely because all this pent-up accumulation could finally reflect in the price. It's like a spring coiling up. Once the pressure is released, it jumps. I also want to highlight the bigger picture lesson here. Always dig beyond the price. Price is just the surface. If I had only looked at HBAR's price, I'd have written it off instantly as just another red day, avoid. But by exploring volume patterns, momentum indicators, and fund flows, I uncovered a narrative that was completely hidden from the casual glance. That's why I love this stuff. It feels like being a detective in the wild west of crypto. Sometimes you find nothing, sure, but sometimes you strike gold. And even if HBAR doesn't end up rebounding immediately, recognizing these patterns is valuable for the future. It trains your eyes to catch the next opportunity. Before we wrap up, a quick invitation. If you're intrigued by these kinds of insights and you want to learn more, I've got a free educational Discord community. The link is in the description. It's a place where we talk trading, share charts, ask questions, and most importantly, discuss crypto safety and best practices openly. If some of what I shared today flew over your head, that's okay. That's exactly the kind of thing we break down in the Discord for beginners and veterans alike. We'd love to have you there, and again, it's completely free. It's my way of giving back and helping people not feel so alone or lost in the crypto space. So, what's the final takeaway in our HBAR saga? For me, it's this. I started the day ready to dismiss HBAR's drop as bad news, but ended the day seeing it as a potential early opportunity. It was a real mindset flip from, oh no, not another dump, to, wait a second, something's brewing here. Whether HBAR actually bounces or not, I'm grateful it reminded me to keep an open mind and an observant eye. The crypto market has a way of surprising us just when we least expect it. Today, HBAR surprised me, and who knows, maybe tomorrow it'll surprise everyone else. Until then, I'll be watching and learning, one strange clue at a time. Stay safe out there, and as always, stay curious. Happy trading, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.